What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, with your February 16th, 2022 AEW Dynamite review. Yes, don't you love how much that rhymes? I will eventually get over that joke, but before we get into the show, I'm going to do something I haven't actually done in a while. I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping. I want to send a quick plug out. Well, it's not a plug because I'm plugging myself, but you will see one episode previous to this, one podcast previous to this. I did a little bit of an off-the-cuff. I did my initial thoughts on the two breaking news stories of the week in the wrestling world. One being the absolute work that Cody Rhodes has quit AEW. The other being that we might get Kevin Owens versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania. If you want my my knee-jerk first gut reaction to those two news stories, check out the pod from last night. Now, all things being equal, you'll get two more pods from me after this one by the end of this week, because there are two pay-per-views coming up this weekend, and I can see sarcastic people, narrow-minded people avoiding previewing either of them. One because it's in Saudi Arabia, and the other because it's being hosted by Impact Wrestling. But yeah, No Surrender is this Saturday. Elimination Chamber in Saudi is also this Saturday. I will be getting previews up for both of those for you guys. One might not drop until Saturday morning, depending on my schedule. One might actually have a co-host, depending on how my schedule goes, but I will be previewing both of those shows, and if said co-host is not able to join me, I might just combine them into one pod, like I did with Hard to Kill and Battle of the Belts, because that seemed to be a thing that sort of kind of worked. But yes, if you're finding me for the first time, and if you're listening to me in an audio platform right now, you want to see a video platform. Right now, there's not too much video to offer. I will say I'm being a little bit lazy in that regard, but go find me on YouTube by searching Spaz Phoenix. Go find me on Rumble by searching Spaz Phoenix Podcast. And on any of your actual podcasting platforms, you can also search for me by searching Spaz Phoenix Podcast. You can find me on Facebook by searching the Spaz Phoenix Podcast Facebook group. You can find me on Twitter at Spaz Phoenix and at Spaz Phoenix1. You can find me on Instagram at Spaz Phoenix. I guarantee you my Instagram's not that interesting. But if you want to, you can. And if you're watching this on YouTube, or specifically Rumble, because I'm trying to build the audience on Rumble, please leave a like or a comment, because on Rumble is the newest platform that I'm on, and YouTube seems to think that nobody's watching the videos, even though the numbers are there. The numbers are small, I'll admit that, but they are there, YouTube. It's fine. I think YouTube knows that I'm a Steven Crowder fan, and they're taking it out on me by not pushing my videos. But that's another conspiracy theory for another day. Let's talk about this show. This show, which did a whole lot to build Revolution, I'll say that much. This show has me incredibly excited for Revolution. It had me incredibly excited for the main event tonight, until the main event tonight shit the bed. Oh yes, but let's talk about what any other wrestling company would get shit on. Let's talk about the talking segment that started this show. CM Punk in the ring, sitting cross-legged, in a MJF mid shirt with a gift box in front of him. Now, immediately, everything in AEW is apparently an Easter egg. Now, CM Punk sitting cross-legged, waiting to address the crowd, waiting to address his opponent, much in the same way that he did when he cut the pipe bomb. And I know even he has said he's tired of people referencing the pipe bomb, but the pipe bomb was still awesome, so I'm going to make the reference here. He's sitting there in MJF's shirt to call him out. Now, that's a reference to the pipe bomb, and when he cut the pipe bomb, he was wearing a Stone Cold shirt. Now, Stone Cold, as I say, just this week, being rumored to be coming back to WrestleMania. Was there a silent little bit of tribute there? Am I looking too much into it? Probably, but he's there, he's calling out MJF. He talks about the very first time he ever said, "I'm straight edge, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, and I live a healthier lifestyle, and that makes me better than you." He says, "I cut that promo for the first time over 20 years ago, and I turned it into an entire career where other people have followed me, other people have wanted to follow in my footsteps, other people have even become straight edge, and isn't that awesome?" MJF, on the other hand, tries to be like me, and he fails. When he beat me twice in Chicago, I was actually proud of him, but he still thinks that he's CM Punk in Chicago, Piper in Portland, Bret Hart in Calgary, when he's still just shitty little Max from shitty little Long Island, which was a great... CM Punk is the only one I know that can get a promo over by being petty and making fun of how petty he's being, because by doing that self-own, it becomes less petty. Does that make sense? He sends a bit of respect out to Moxley for his for agreeing to be his partner last week and giving him the assist to beat FTR of the Pinnacle, because now he has the opportunity to face MJF in whatever match he wants, in whatever time he wants, in whatever stipulation that he wants. And then he started thinking about what kind of match it's going to be. Obviously, he points out the day, he points out the date. It's going to be at Revolution, because of course it is. And he talks about initially, like, you got a chicken shit like MJF. He's like, well, would you put him in a cage match? But I've seen Wardlow, and I'm pretty sure he can scale a cage, and MJF could still escape. And then he makes a whole bunch of more references to Piper. I got to brush up on my wrestling history, because apparently this is a huge, what do you call it, Easter egg for Piper's early career. I'm not personally familiar, I'm not going to lie. The end of the day, sorry, as I sound like I'm dying, even though I promise you I don't have the Rona. He opens up the gift box and he says it's a couple days after Hallmark Day, which is awesome because Valentine's Day is one of the most bullshit holidays ever. But he says, "Will you be my Valentine?" as he pulls out a badass looking set of 2 dog collars and a big fucking chain. He calls out MJF and he pulls one more thing out of the box, and it's the photo that we've all seen a bunch now of MJF meeting CM Punk as a kid. He's like, look, here's a photo. Here's a photo of the best day of your life, and to me it was just another Friday. Revolution is going to be the worst day of your life, and for me it's just going to be another Sunday. And I thought that was so fucking brilliant. Not only because on its own as a line it was brilliant, but me being the Marvel guy, you guys that have watched Flicks Fix with me and Kristen know that I'm a huge Marvel guy. When Ronan was talking to, I think it's Drax, it's like, you know, when I came to your town, it was the biggest, most, earth-shattering, life-affirming moment of your life, but to me it was Tuesday. And I think that's such a way to put the person you're talking to in the absolute shit. It's great. And the absolute best way that MJF could possibly put this over is he raised the mic to his mouth as he's standing there on the stage and walks off. MJF has become the guy who, if you've got him speechless, that's all you need. They don't have to do anything else from now until Revolution. Revolution's not that far away anyway. But this promo, this setup, I've got all the cards in my favor that CM Punk did. And he even gave MJF the credit. And I said this a couple weeks ago when they had their match. It was brilliant. It was CM Punk in Chicago. Not only did he cheat to beat him, he cheated to beat him twice in Chicago. They couldn't overlook the brilliance of that. But the silent walk-off by MJF was the perfect capper of this. We go to the back where I think it was Tony Schiavone. It's like 2 hours ago. I don't remember. They're in the back, they're talking to Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy about how it's actually going to be a triple threat for the tag team titles at Revolution. One of the other contenders is going to be decided by a battle royal next week. The other set of contenders is going to be decided by a casino battle royal 2 weeks from now. Now, on the one hand, love a battle royal, and I'm one of the few people that actually likes AEW's casino battle royals. On the other hand, what ranking system? Oh yes, but no, when we get to later on in the night, you're going to pretty much get my prediction as to what that match is going to be. I think it's written on the wall, and that's fine. Bryan Danielson versus Lee Moriarty. Now this came from a conflict last week, talking about everybody that Bryan Danielson name-checked when he originally put the proposal to Jon Moxley, and he said, look, we can take all these guys up by their bootstraps, the Wheeler Yutas, the Lee Moriartys, the Daniel Garcias, and we can take them away from all these other people. He sort of name-checked Matt Sydal as being a bad trainer, or not as great a trainer as he could be, and whatever. And Lee Moriarty finally stood up to him and said, okay, cool, why don't we have a match next week? Daniel Bryan seemed to be very happy with this. This was a great technical match. This was as good a match can be when the outcome was this predictable. Let's be real. It was a huge showcase, huge character showcase for Daniel Bryan, just showing how evil and you know, he's the guy that enjoys inflicting pain. He doesn't even care about winning the match. He just wants to hurt somebody. Like, it's that old thing. But But I am a little bit biased. I will say I love this match, if for no other reason than we get something that we haven't had on this channel in a long time, or at least I haven't referenced it in a long ass time. Yes, I know he's got a different name now. Yes, I know he's technically Bryan Danielson, but they are, and they will always be, say it loud, say it proud, the Daniel Bryan Silly Kicks. In the ropes, because he's a heel now, which is fucking fantastic. Running knee strike, series of stomps, and a triangle choke. The ref finally calls the match, and that's it. Bryan Danielson grabs the mic immediately, talks about his win that he just got over Moriarty, polls the crowd as to, you know, did he pass the test, yes or no. The crowd gives him a positive response, and he says, this is why I don't trust the American public, which popped me fucking rotten. It shouldn't, but it did. He calls out Jon Moxley once again. He demands an answer. Mox tells... this is one of these things that drives me nuts in AEW. Even though I will say that normally they do it really well, I still think it's a crutch they lean on too much. It's like, hey, you and me fought in some small building 10 years ago. That's how long we've known each other. We've known each other longer than AEW is a thing, and that's somehow going to contribute to this current AEW story. I look back to CM Punk and what the fuck is his name? He shows up later on in the show tonight, doesn't he? Kingston. Yeah, Eddie Kingston. They did that as well. And it may be true. It absolutely may be true, and it's enriching for the people that were there, but it's one of those, like, I don't watch Dark Elevation. I do not believe a genuine week-to-week televised wrestling show should be giving you homework. I really don't, and I know that people don't like when I say that, but I'm going to stick to it because I believe it's absolutely true. Now, that might be the case, but Mox goes on to say that he finally got a chance to face the, you know, the great, the famous, the powerful American Dragon, and he lost. He brought his best game, and Daniel Bryan kicked his ass, and every time they met each other, Daniel Bryan kicked his ass. He's never gotten a win over Bryan Danielson. And immediately, the way he was so specific about saying Bryan Danielson made me want to look back into the WWE and see if Ambrose has any victories technically over Daniel Bryan, but I'm just being cocky when I say that, because it still works. When you came to WWE, the almighty, you know, the world famous American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, everybody was scared, but I was super excited. I finally got to put your head up on my wall, which is another great shot, not only because head up on the wall is a great trophy reference, but specifically Daniel Bryan with all the head and neck issues that he has. I thought that was fucking brilliant. But he says, then I found out that you didn't want to fight me, that you want to team with me. And I thought, okay, there's absolutely no reason that I shouldn't reject that I should reject your offer, because yes, we could get together, we could do some amazing technical violence, we could leave a legacy, we could take a whole bunch of these guys and leave the industry way better than we thought it was when we were here. We could leave something, we could give something back to AEW, and there's no reason for me to say no to that. Unless it's because you just don't want to fight me, and essentially goes on to say, if you just don't want to fight me, then you're a pussy. He says, I'm not saying yes or I'm not saying no. And this was another one. It was like the Punk line in the opening promo, but he says, I'm not saying yes and I'm not saying no, but I'll tell you this, I don't stand side by side with anybody if I haven't bled with them first. Which is an awesome insult, challenge, and compliment all at once, because he says he's saying he wants to go to war with them, he wants to bleed with them, he wants to beat the shit out of them, but also he sees that as a potential bonding experience and this thing that could lead this legacy that Bryan Danielson is talking about, that he's not closing the door to either. I think if you can insult, respect, and compliment somebody like that all at once, it's a trifecta, and you've achieved as much as you possibly can in a single promo. Now, I think there's going to be some sort of thing where they're going to fight at Revolution regardless. I don't think that, but I think it's going to be a case of Bryan Danielson, saying, if I beat you, then you have to give my idea a chance. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's going to go the other way, and Mox is going to get the first big gigantic scalp since his comeback from his personal issues. But there's a lot of different ways they could go with this, and it went pretty well, because even the direction that I don't think they're going to go still has awesome potential. So there's a way that I want them to go with this. I want them to go to war. I want them to beat the shit out of each other, and I want Moxley to go on and keep being the awesome lone wolf character that he portrays himself to be. He came in and helped Punk last week with his FTR issue because he saw it fit and moral to do so at the time. He's helped Darby Allin in similar situations. He's helped Darby Allin and Sting in similar situations. I think him and Kingston have helped each other in similar situations, but he's still the lone wolf deciding to help out on that one night. That's the direction I want him to keep going. But even the direction I don't want them to go is still kind of awesome, and I think that's something to be commended. That's something that AEW really deserves a pat on the back for. And plus, let's just be real for a second, Moxley and Danielson is going to be a fucking fantastic match. We see a video package on Keith Lee's debut last week, which I didn't talk about because I don't think I did a review last week, and then him obviously winning his qualifying match to be in the Face of the Revolution ladder match, which is great. He debuted right after Switchblade randomly made his appearance in the back, and that was a whole like, I'm Tony Khan saying I misused the open door, so I had to go grab an open door guy really quickly, is a little bit awkward. Wardlow versus Max Caster for another Revolution qualifier, and Caster's rap was as entertaining as it usually is. It ended off with him calling Wardlow MJF's bitch because that was the predictable thing to do. He tried to get the upper hand when Bowens gets in with a cheap shot with the chain when the referee's not looking, but Wardlow still kills him. Powerbomb Symphony, it is what it is. Post-match attack attempt by Bowens leads to him getting his ass handed to him as well, and we have our second qualifier for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Now, so far we've got Wardlow and Keith Lee, who are not exactly cruiserweights, and I'm thinking about this as a ladder match, and I'm thinking this is going to be a very different kind of ladder match. Now, I know one of the qualifying matches coming up is Powerhouse Hobbs versus goddamn Dante Martin, who they're going to have to put in there because he's got the armband, guys. It's like plot armor in a movie. But it would be really cool if they put Powerhouse Hobbs in there instead, and you got Wardlow, Keith Lee, Powerhouse Hobbs, I don't know, Lance Archer. Like, make it a ladder match of giants. That could be a lot of fun. I don't think they're going to do that, though. Hangman Page comes out to talk to Tony Schiavone. He's about to talk about the death match with Archer last week that came with predictable results, but he's cut off by Adam Cole. He puts over Adam Cole's battles with Bryan and Kenny and Archer, and he even kicks Tony Schiavone out of the ring because of course he does. He says, "You're a great champion. It's just too bad that I gotta come in and end it." Hangman Page refers to him as his Bullet Club buddy, his ROH roommate, and now the AEW champion. How does it feel that you left us all behind and we made this place? I guarantee you'll never be AEW champion. Adam Cole goes on to say, and I agree with this because I'm sorry, Adam Cole has more star power. And I'm saying that as a guy that never watched ROH, that never watched New Japan, that never saw the Bullet Club in its supposed heyday. But I'm sorry, like, on face value, put both of them on my screen, Adam Cole has more star power. That's just my opinion. I'm sure there's a lot of people with a lot more legacy with these guys that would disagree with me. That's fine. We have the right to disagree. I can't force you to be right. But he basically goes through this thing, is like, everywhere we've gone, I've overshadowed you. Everywhere we've gone, you've just been the other Adam. And then he backs up and talks about having immense respect, and he says, eventually I'm going to take that title off you. But when that happens, may the best man win. And he does shake his hand, and he does walk up the ramp. And then Red Dragon attack him from behind. There's a 3-on-1 attack, and Dark Order make the save. Dark Order not in their Dark Order, like, creepy, crawly putties from Power Rangers outfits, for the most part, looking like regular people. So hats off to them for that. I don't have much to say about the next thing. It was Jericho and Hager versus Santana and Ortiz because the Inner Circle explode! Except for there's only 2 and 2 and Sammy Guevara's off doing main event things while these guys scrap with each other. I really don't get the Santana and Ortiz. I like Santana and Ortiz as a tag team, and if they're going to split off from the Inner Circle, that's fine. If they're going to split off and just join another guy with Eddie Kingston, I think that sort of defeats the point. I do hope that if they don't end up in the title match at Revolution, I hope they at least have a good showing in one of those battle royals, is what I can say about that. But I'm not going to lie, I don't get the makeup thing. Now, this is me. I'm a Darby Allin fan. I like Sting. I like Jeff Hardy. I like Thunder Rosa. It's not that I'm against it. I just, in their case, I don't get it. It's something that's not registering with me. Great team, great, entertaining, energetic young team. They're fantastic. And as soon as I wrote down, I don't get the makeup on my notes, on the Doomy clipboard of Doom, we hear Kingston's music, and Kingston is back, which is wonderful. He's back from injury. That's cool. That's the real life important shit. But as he's coming down to ringside and he's with Santana and Ortiz and he's got this bubbling thing with Jericho, I'm like, okay, here's the countdown to when the bullshit happens. The match itself, if you put the storylines aside, the match itself told a very cool story as well, where Santana and Ortiz have a long sequence of double teaming Chris Jericho, because when Chris Jericho was in the ring, he's making Santana and Ortiz look like $1 million. Jake Hager, standing on the outside for most of the match, looking like a fucking beast. When he got in, Santana and Ortiz were making him look like $1 million. So there was a transference of putting over, if that makes sense. And immediately, to go back to what I was saying a second ago about Wardlow, about Keith Lee, about Powerhouse Hobbs, throw Hager in the face of the Revolution Battle Royal and have that ladder match of giants. Probably wrong, though. There was a really cool spot where there was an elevated cannonball that was blocked by Jericho into a Walls of Jericho, but at the end, Kingston distracts Santana and Ortiz double team for the win. Kingston and Jericho have a brief brawl on the outside before it's broken up. These guys are going to fight at Revolution. I don't know how good it's going to be, but it's going to be entertaining, which is fine. In the back, we've got Adam Cole standing smack dab in the middle, metaphorically, between the Bucks and Red Dragon, because the Bucks and Red Dragon are both in those battle royals to establish #1 contenders for the tag team championships at Revolution. So, say it with me right now. This is foreshadowing to the nth degree. I guarantee you, and I could be wrong, as much as I just said Santana and Ortiz deserve to get their shot at some point, Revolution is going to be Jurassic Express versus Red Dragon versus the Young Bucks. And if it's not, come back and tell me that I'm wrong. That's all I got. It'll be great, because you'll have Adam Cole in the center. This is, and I mean this in a good way. I'm not even saying this in a snarky, like NXT versus AEW way. This is very Undisputed Era. This is Adam Cole going for the big belt, while at least 2 of his teammates are going to chase other gold. Now, there's one too many of them, because one could go get the TNT title and the other 2 could get the tag titles, but all of his friends are 2 different tag teams, so it doesn't quite work out the same way. But this is very Undisputed Era, and we've invited Young Bucks along for the Undisputed ride. That sounds terrible. Don't quote me on that, please. Moving on. Mercedes Martinez and Thunder Rosa in a no DQ match. What do you want me to say about this? They both came out here. They both beat the shit out of each other. Mercedes Martinez came out with the famous pipe. Thunder Rosa came out not only with a steel chair, but looking like the chick from Kill Bill, which is no bad thing. They weren't shy about the weapon shots. There was a crossbody out of the crowd by Thunder Rosa, which was awesome, except the railing that she jumped on wasn't secure at all, and you could see the look on her face as she realized it wasn't secure. Happy that didn't end badly, happy that she pulled it off really well, because she's a pro, but also, more to the point, happy that she didn't hurt herself in the process. Both of them go through a table sometime during the commercial break. I don't get the picture-in-picture up here in Canada anymore. It sort of glitches and fades in and fades out and does all kinds of funny stuff. Top rope Hurricane Rana by Thunder Rosa at one point. Fire Thunder Driver on a pile of chairs in the middle of the ring, gets the win for Thunder Rosa. Rosa pulls Mercedes Martinez up after the match, out of the pile of chairs, out of the rubble, I guess you would say, and gives her sort of a respectful little bow. Britt Baker and her other cronies that sort of hired Mercedes Martinez to beat up Thunder Rosa in the first place come down because she didn't get the job done, and they beat the shit out of Thunder Rosa, and then Mercedes Martinez has a chance to hit her with the pipe, and she doesn't, so they beat her up too. Now, if you want to talk about a pair of women that I wouldn't want to unify against me, because let's be real, they'd hand me my ass, it would be Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez. It's going to be, eventually one of them is going to go for Britt Baker's title, but in the meantime, you're going to get Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez kicking the shit out of out of Jamie Hayter and Rebel Not Reba, Reba Not Rebel. And that's just going to be, because that's a power team right there. I'm sorry, like, you had one of them on your side, and now you've unified the two of them against you. Heels aren't smart. We get a short backstage video package from Switchblade Jay White, which is kind of cool. I kind of briefly saw a little bit of what he can do in Impact. I think he's part of the No Surrender card. I'd have to go look at the card. Again, there's a lot of Bullet Club things going on all over the place. This Saturday, by the way, when they take on the Good Brothers, is going to be the first Gorillas of Destiny match I've ever seen. So tell me down in the box below if that's something I should be looking forward to. But he shit-talks Kenny Omega and their history from New Japan, which I don't know anything about, and doesn't really factor into things right now, seeing as Kenny's off healing his injuries and whatnot. So I thought that was a bit strange as an intro, but he's also facing Trent this Friday on Rampage. Now, they beat it into the floor, but I don't really blame them either. The Rampage taping is playing early this Friday. They can't play it at 10 because apparently there's a basketball game, so they're playing it at 7, and because it's been preempted by the basketball game, they're calling it Rampage Slam Dunk. So what does that tell you? It either goes on at 10 or it goes on at 7. They went up against SmackDown exactly one time, and I think they learned their lesson. They didn't need to do it again. But it does look like there's going to be a pretty decent show, which is fine, which is wonderful. It's all good, and yeah, the Switchblade, you have to understand, from me, and I know I say this a lot, I turn to you guys, I turn to my co-hosts like Jake and Guapo and whoever else. If I don't know somebody, I ask somebody else to tell me. The famous example is me hearing about Ember Moon coming to the WWE and asking Guapo what her deal was, and he says, basically, she's a badass chick that does a stunner from the top rope. Okay, cool. I can digest that. The same thing I threw the question out there a while ago, the first time I had ever heard of Switchblade, and I said, somebody tell me something about Switchblade, and it's like, well, imagine Seth Rollins if WWE did him properly. And I'm like, okay, I need a little bit more than that, but if we're going to get to see that, and he's going to be lumped in with Adam Cole and the Bucks and Red Dragon and all these other people, then cool. I haven't seen anything to make me dislike him yet. He sort of literally walked through the door to negate Tony Khan making an open door reference to Keith Lee, who wasn't really walking through an open door. So did they accidentally themselves into something really cool? I hope so. Speaking of something cool, Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara for the TNT Championship match is your main event. They start with a handshake. I didn't take many notes because the match was really, really enjoyable. A lot of chain wrestling, a lot of fluid wrestling that I would just twist myself up into not trying to describe to you guys. I will say the move of the match, the move of the night that popped me was Sammy Guevara draping Darby Allin over the top rope and swantoning onto him from the top turnbuckle to where he was laid out over the top rope, because there's so many ways that could go bad, and they made it look really flimsy in a way, like where you don't know where the person taking the move is going to end up, you don't know where the person giving the move is going to end up, and then after that he put him up in a fireman carry position and gave him a gutbuster over the turnbuckle, which also sent him completely out of the ring. Two back-to-back moves that could probably kill somebody if they were done properly. Again, they go to commercial break and something happens to Sammy's knee. Sammy's knee becomes the story after the match, and Jim Ross does a really good job of letting us all know, because I didn't know this, that even though Darby Allin is really known for the high-flying, death-defying, I don't really care what happens to me style of wrestling, he's also got like a really good like amateur knowledge and background, and I didn't know that, because the way they present his character, it's very much focused in other ways, so there's a lot of sort of inverted figure fours and leg locks in the ropes and leg locks suspended from the turnbuckle, and they tell a really good story about his knee for a long ass time. The momentum of Darby Allin is eventually broken when he goes for a suicide dive and Sammy catches him in a cutter on the floor, and that was fucking pretty. Sammy at one point has Darby on the apron, and he goes for a swanton bomb again on the apron and fails and eats shit super hard on the apron, which had to be, I don't want to speak for these guys, but that had to be a callback to Darby Allin's first match in AEW, where he missed the coffin drop and splattered his spine on the edge of the apron, because it came off exactly the same way. It's like, that was really cool, and I hope he's not dead. But then the match goes to shit. Andrade and his little, like, sidekick lawyer guy, there's a lot of distractions. There's a cheap shot on Darby while he's on the top turnbuckle, so he's sort of out on the top turnbuckle. Sammy Guevara sees it. He's not exactly happy about it, but he shrugs it off, hits the GTH, gets the win, retains his title, whatever. Matt Hardy runs completely past Andrade, beats down Darby, takes a beating from Sammy when Sammy comes in to make the save. Andrade leaves with both TNT belts after he's chased off by Sting. There's way too many people involved in that I don't care about. The one thing, one of the biggest crimes that AEW has committed, in my personal opinion, considering how much I'm a mark for the Hardys, is make me not care about Matt Hardy at all, like to the point where I don't want him on my screen. Sting was sent to the back by Darby at the beginning of the match because he was having a respectful match with him and Sammy Guevara. I didn't need Sammy to come out either. If Andrade wanted to stick his nose in the business himself and just stake his own claim at the TNT Championship, cool. That could have ended up with the three of them having a match at Revolution, but you threw in his little lawyer dude whose name I can never remember, you throw in Matt Hardy, you throw in Sting, and this was a really, really, really good, awesome match between two of the four pillars of AEW. Until it wasn't. So this was really awesome, and then it shit the bed super hard. And I'm sorry, that's a really big downer for what is otherwise a pretty damn fucking good show. Looking forward to Revolution. We got the dog collar match confirmed between Punk and MJF. We pretty much know we're getting Page and Cole. We pretty much know we're getting Kingston and Jericho. What else do we know? We pretty much know we're getting Danielson and Mox. We know we're getting Jurassic Express defending against two other teams, probably the Bucks and Red Dragon. Let's be real. Sammy Guevara, coming out of this, probably will have that triple threat match or a singles match against Andrade. Don't know where the women's situation is going. I still like Britt Baker as champion. Jade Cargill needs to hand that belt to literally anybody else. And we are where we are. But going into Revolution, that's 5 matches at least that are all main event worthy in one form or another. Adam Cole becoming the AEW champion obviously should be the last match on the card. But everything I just mentioned, all the potentials, all the possibilities, even though some of them have flaws, are all fantastic. I'm looking very, very forward to Revolution, and I'm looking forward to seeing how long this work that Cody Rhodes has left AEW is gonna last. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you have, if you've made it all the way to the end, mention it down in the box below. But I've been your buddy, I've been your pal, Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, you guys know the drill. I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.